Welcome to the Arbutus Analyzer tutorial series. This tutorial will discuss how to perform continuous monitoring, also known as scheduling, using Arbutus Analyzer. With Arbutus, in order to do continuous monitoring tasks, it requires that a Windows server be installed and configured. All of the scheduling will be done by the Windows server. If you have an existing script, such as exceeding credit limit here, all you need to do is create the shared folder and then drag the procedure and any source files that are required to run the procedure into the shared folder. I'll do that now. Go to the Share menu, add an enterprise share, give the shared folder a name, choose the profile. In this case there's only one, so I'll just leave the drop down as is, and then navigate to the folder on the server box where you want to store all of your shared elements. Again, you can tie this shared folder to only one project or have it available for multiple projects. I will tie it to the videos project here. It connects to the server and creates the shared folders, as you can see in the overview. Now all I need to do is take my procedure, or script, whatever you want to call it, and drag it into the shared folder, and I'll take the source file and drag it into the shared folder. The act of dragging these files from the local desktop project into the shared folder means that you're physically moving the data. So in this case, although the server is just located down the hall, the server could be in a different city or a different country even. We physically move the data from your desktop into the shared folder location. This is when you have existing scripts that you want to take with you and move to the server environment and schedule them. Obviously, any new scripts, any new procedures that you wanted to create, you would simply start from the shared folder in the first place and just create the new procedure right from the shared folder. For this purpose though, I'm just going to show taking an existing script and running it as a continuous monitoring event or a scheduled event. If I right click on the procedure, I have the option to run, as I mentioned, which is just like what you did on the local project. Or now I can schedule it because it's in an enterprise shared folder. When scheduling, it presents you with an option of how frequently you wish to run the individual tests. In this case, I'll just choose I'll run it right now. The other option it gives you is where do you want to write the output. In this case, I'll just use the default of private. When I run this script, you can see there's a little clock that appears on the script icon telling us that this has actually been scheduled. If I had been running this overnight, I'd want to come in the morning and see the results of this scheduled job or this continuous monitoring job. To simulate that, I'll just close the project and then I'll reopen it. And as if I was coming in fresh in the morning, I'll open up the project. You'll notice now that the script has a little plus sign beside it, and when I click on the plus sign, it gives me a green light and a timestamp. In this case, the green light means that the script ran successfully, and the timestamp was the time that it was run. And if I click on this, you'll see this is actually the log. This tells me what actually occurred for my script. I mentioned before the output options. The output options in this case was private. It knows that the private location to write the data is ftemp arbutus based on my server credentials in the profile. If I go to server profiles, you can see that the output prefix is ftemp arbutus. That is where the data is actually written. If we go to this special folder called private scheduled output, you can see that the table called Oberlimit was created there, and when I click on this, we can see in the status line that the data file was created in ftemp arbutus, and it's called oberlimit.fil, just as we would expect. If, however, just delete this, if we decided to schedule this, and again I'll just do this right now, and we write the results to the shared folder, this will send all of the data sets, all of the results of the test into the same shared folder. And if I click on OK, you'll see that the little clock again tells me that this job has been scheduled. I go home for the evening, I come back in the morning. When I click on the little plus sign beside the exceeded credit limit, we get a second log file, a second successful log file with a new timestamp, and you'll notice that the over limit table is now in the shared folder. It's not in the private area, it's in the shared area. And this would be intended, for instance, if somebody was to follow up on these over limit transactions. So in the morning, somebody's assigned to go ahead and look in the shared folder because they have read access to this shared folder in ctemp share. Maybe I'm the administrator and I run the test, or I schedule the test to run, but all the results, all the exceptions are automatically written into the shared folder. Every day somebody else is assigned to come in and to look at the shared folder and look at the exceptions and then follow up on them. A third option, again, would be if I were to schedule this and then send the results to another location. And as it suggests, this just means it's not going to my private output prefix, it's not going into the shared folder location, it's going somewhere else. And again, this could just be because we're sending the results to an Excel spreadsheet or some other type of file, and it's going to be looked at by management outside of Analyzer. Or it could be that it's going to a different folder location on the server box for other folks to follow up on. That option is available as well. So the top half of this screen is the frequency. How often do you want to run the individual scripts? And the bottom half is where do you want the results to go. You can also do a few other little things, such as changing the colors of the logs. If you just wanted to see if the script ran successfully or not, you would get a green light if it ran successfully. What you can also do is you can change the script. Let's just go in here and do this. Pretty simple. You could go in here and we could change this programmatically to show something a little bit different. And what we'll do now is we'll schedule this to go to the shared folder again. We'll run it right now. We'll click on OK. The job's been scheduled. And another little thing we can do here is we can just right click on the shared folder and we can update the folder contents. And that's kind of the equivalent of me closing the project and then reopening it again. You can see we got a different color log this time. This time we got a yellow log. And the reason for that is I changed the code and I use a return value. In this case, anytime we have criteria established by whoever's writing the script, anytime you want to identify this as an exception that might need further review, we can change the color of the log to be a visual cue. You could also, if you wanted to, create another visual cue which told you exactly how many exceptions there were. I'll rerun this or reschedule this. Again, the clock tells me it's been scheduled to run. I'll update the folder contents, and this time we get a yellow log file which alerts us visually that there are some exceptions based on the criteria of the programmer, of the person writing the script. And then over here on the right hand side you can see the number of exceptions that were met by the test. This is just, again, a visual cue. It's easy to do, something that you can quickly and easily come in the morning and decide, I need to address the script that ran last night or not. And of course, last but not least, would be if you schedule the script to run. Oops, let me just change this. If you had an issue, such as the one I just introduced, we schedule the script to run. We'll run it now. We'll run it to the shared folder. And I'll update my folder contents. And the last of our little visual cues is the red light. So using a traffic light metaphor, green is go, it's all good. Yellow is there's some caution, beware, you may want to look at this. And red is the big stoplight, we have an issue. And sure enough, if we click into the log file on our red light, we can see that the table was not found, and therefore that halted the process. For more information regarding scheduling with Arbutus Analyzer, please contact your local support representatives or check the Arbutus help